Automation nation, automation nation, automation nation, around the nation, automation nation, automation nation, automation nation, around the nation, around the nation, around the nation. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, the show for business leaders, tech aficionados, and those who are just simply curious about where technology and business are going. Automation Nation is your gateway to understanding automation, AI, and the future of business. Don't get left behind. Tune in now and subscribe for more. Welcome to the Automation Nation podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are back again for another fantastic episode, conversation. Listen, I think that we have been on a roll. I got another guest that's going to fall right into the flow of that momentum of being on a roll. When I say be on a roll, I mean we've had guests, Pavel. We've had guests that have just been dropping seeds. I call them seeds of nuggets of wisdom, because of those seeds they drop in. They're like little seeds, and they drop into you and right into the soil of the mind of somebody. And before you know it, boom, growing into a wisdom nugget. I have another gentleman here, Pavel Bosovik. Man, welcome to the Automation Nation podcast. First of all,
thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. I call those gold nuggets to my team, but I like seeds more because seeds kind of grow into something new.
See, look at that. Already we're vibing, you know. Seeds grow into something, but it's golden. And I think that the most important thing that you can get from a conversation is seeing what you can do with the information. And so, like, what can you do with it? Not just listen to it, but what you can do with it. So hopefully, if you're listening to this via podcast, or if you're watching this via Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're on Twitter now, ladies and gentlemen, going live on Twitter and YouTube. We're trying to cover the whole map because we want these seeds to fly everywhere.
I want to be careful. If Elon Musk is listening, he probably wants you to call it X.
Hey, listen, X. You know what? I'll do it. I'm proud of a lot of the advancement my brother Elon Musk has done. I don't care what people say. He's doing some incredible things. Hey, so I'm going to read a little bit of your bio here, Pavel. It's so Pavel Bosovik was born in Ukraine and grew up with a passion for innovation and entrepreneurship. So from a young age, he was fascinated with and by the automotive industry and dreamt of creating a vehicle that could conquer any terrain. Born and raised in the Ukraine, Pavel immigrated to the United States to pursue his dreams. In the U.S., Pavel founded a successful real estate business, which specializes in Class A properties and relationship-based business transactions. I like that, relationship-based. Okay, he revolutionized the industry by introducing a customer-centric approach, and we're going to talk about that customer-centric approach, focused on building long-term, lasting partnerships with clients and delivering exceptional service consistently. Now, I added that word. That word because you've been doing it consistently, and I think that is the key. First of all, man, welcome to the show. Let's let everyone know about like who you are and just kind of what began this journey of yours.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you. I think this is the first time someone's read my bio to me out loud on live stream. So thank you for that. Yes, where it all started. I remember when I was a little kid and my siblings, they grew up playing with like rocks and sticks. I was one of the first in my family to actually get toy cars. And so I remember these toy cars and always wanting to build my own. So fast forward to when we finally started driving in cars, like my brothers and my friends, we would go off-roading, fishing, and then we want to spend the night. Well, it's uncomfortable in the Jeep. It's uncomfortable in the truck. We tried the whole backseat camping. We tried the bed, where you put a mattress inside of the bed of a pickup truck camping. We tried the camping tents, and none of it was kind of like what I wanted. So that's kind of where the idea began, is like, how did I create something I can go off-roading and go on these trails and then be able to camp? I started looking at RVs, and it seems like for 120 years they haven't evolved very much. Like, you take a regular standard RV off-roading, it's going to fall apart. And so we finally got the opportunity to, I think it's still a work in progress, but we were able to create an expedition vehicle. Essentially, some of our clientele call it a super RV, where you're not tied to an RV park. You can actually go somewhere like your beautiful background, you know, waterfalls and these kind of off the beaten path places, and really truly camp and have that full experience.
I love that, man. I love that. Wow. How many siblings do you have?
I'm one of 11.
One of 11. Okay. We got a whole team, literally.
So pretty small family, you know.
Pretty small, man. Pretty small. Look, Pavel, we're powered by Simply Automate. So we ask all of our guests this one particular question. If you could simply automate one thing in your personal life, what would that be?
My personal life. So for me, anything that doesn't bring back an ROI, I think is a waste of time. So if I could automate my personal life, I'd be a happy man. Like, I'm talking all of it. I'm talking car maintenance, clothing, dry cleaning, food. Like, if I can create some kind of machine to like just automate that in my life to where I don't have to worry or spend time on that, it'd be phenomenal.
That's incredible. I just visualized that as you created it. Yeah, that would be
Wouldn't
quite
that be
phenomenal.
something? Like, if you could automate your personal life for like busy CEOs and like entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So speaking about creating, let's talk about your creation on your path. So let's talk about a little bit of your experience from, coming to the United States, and then like how that influenced your career path. I know it's asking a lot in a short snippet, but you're pretty good at this.
Yeah. So experience of immigrating to the United States was really hard from one side, but from the other side, the US like streamlined the process so much that it was a pretty streamlined and smooth transition. I think the most challenging part of the move was the cultural difference. I mean, it was a cultural shock, to say the least. Everything here is completely different. So here, you know, you find a different language, a different way of doing things. I I remember, like, in Ukraine, when you go to the supermarket and you buy something, you negotiate the price, right? Here you come, there's no negotiation. I still remember the first time my parents were at Walmart and they were trying to get us to translate negotiating the price. Like, why is it, can you take like a whole round number, and the lady there like saying no, and we're trying to convince our parents that's not how it's done. But like, it's done like this everywhere. So just like the little things, you know, it made it really like different. But you know, after we were able to adapt to that, work, same thing. And where I'm from, you know, it's a lot more personalized, like relationship based, to work within a company or scale a company. Here I noticed it's a lot more procedure. LLC, you have your corporation, you don't need to go, you know, stand and convince a local city administrator why he should give you a business license. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was really nice too. So I think, you know, in subject of this podcast, I think here everything is a lot more automated and we kind of take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Not There's not many countries out there. Like, we have some non-for-profit work we're doing in Africa. You don't
Mm-hmm.
just go online and fill out a 501(c) and you got in the non-for-profit. It's automated in the US versus overseas. A lot of places it's still, you got to go in person, you got to convince someone to do it. You're one of 1,000, so why should they do your application this year and not next year? And so yeah, it's
Mm.
I think it's a really nice, you know,
Yeah, that's
place
good.
to start a business and really scale here in the US.
And then so you began to scale, so that's a good process because it was smooth and streamlined. So now we're moving into real estate, right? We're moving into, let's talk about how that door opened up, because
Yes.
that's a huge door. A lot of folks are still at that door trying to open it up, so
Yeah.
you open that door.
That's where I didn't really have a choice. So I couldn't find what I was looking for. And in my life, if I can't find what I'm looking for, I create it. That's just kind of a motto that I've lived by, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's work, whether it's in my religious portions of my life. I create doors. I don't wait for a door to open, and I don't wait for a door to be created for me, because I mean it can be 2 decades before a door gets created. I always use the Tesla example. If Tesla were to wait for these other companies to create the door of opportunity for electrical vehicles, they wouldn't be an industry leader. They wouldn't be setting the norm. So in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted a personalized experience, someone to walk me through the process, connect me with the banks, the city. It's hard. The bigger the project, the more red tape, the harder it is. And so here I am, 27 years old, trying to do this huge Class A warehouse, and it just seems everywhere I go, there's a roadblock. And I talk to other manufacturers, and they're like, "Oh, Pavel, it's a nightmare. You won't be able to do it. Just lease a building." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to lease a building. I want to own the building. Why would I pay someone else's mortgage?" And they're like, it's hard. You need full time, someone to like, they were like, there's just too many roadblocks. And I'm like, why don't I create something that streamlines the process? And so
Mm-hmm.
I created PN Bosovik Properties, where whether you go the custom home route or the commercial real estate route, we take care of everything turnkey for you. So whether it's securing the financing, we have connections with private banks, public banks, we have government grants, like the list goes on and on. We take care of the tax aspect. We introduce you to many unique tax benefits,
Mm-hmm.
incentives, credits, grants. So we take care of that leg. We take care of the leg of the construction side. Construction, I think, is the scariest part, finding a general contractor that will be with you start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Like the really good ones are big national ones. They don't pick up little projects. The really small guys, you can get in some deep waters and trouble really quick. So where do you find these mid-sized guys, and how do you convince them to take on the project? We already have those relationships. And all the way to the furniture aspect. I remember the first time we went furniture shopping to stock our new warehouse. I mean, we were getting quotes of like $150,000, $200,000. Well, what mid-sized business has $250,000 to spend on furniture? And so we started doing research, and apparently there's a lot. It's a whole furniture world. And so we built a department within our company that helps you with the furniture shopping and finding furniture on good deals. So there's not a
Wow.
lot of people know, but there's online auctions of companies going out of business. And one, for example, for us, there was a company that shut down, a big national company that shut down a division not far from us. We got like $500,000 worth of furniture for like 15 or 20,000. Like when people found this out, they're asking if they can rebuy it from us for a profit. And so like we were like this close to opening up a furniture store. And so we help you with all of that. And you don't need to go hire 10 people. You don't need to waste 5 years of your life. I have a friend here in town, 18 months in the permitting process. Well, our connections and our resources help you through a 3-month permitting process. It's streamlined. We know the people to call, we know the people in email, and we know the people you need to sit in a meeting with, and whose hands you need to shake, and whose face you need to put, in front of. And automating that process
What?
is what gave us, the success to our venture.
Man, you said a mouthful, but I digested all of it.
That's awesome. You're welcome to break it down and ask follow-up questions.
Oh, listen, I broke it down. And so it sounds like from A to Z.
Exactly.
It sounds like from A to Z. I love that furniture come up, and I love the fact that you were that close to opening a shop, but you didn't. That kind of it allows you to keep your focus where you need your focus to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good move. But wow. So first of all, I've invited a lot of. So when you create a LinkedIn invite, you can invite folks. I invite a lot of real estate, property management, and folks who just need to hear this type of thing, right? Because maybe they can get ideas from you, or maybe they can use you for your services, because this can be stressful.
Oh yeah,
man. And if you can have a process somewhat automated, it takes the stress away. Do you know you live longer the less stress that you have?
Oh yeah. I've already gone through that stress. Don't go through that stress. Hire PN Bosovik Properties.
My goodness. What's one of the greatest stories you can remember that a use case,
Oh, I have so many. I just don't know which ones I can share on live stream. So let me think. I would say funding. So whether you're 27 like me or 57 and you're new to the venture, funding is so hard, because when you go to a bank, they kind of look at you on paper first, And when you look on paper and you don't have experience in real estate, to lock in a loan is near impossible. And
Mm,
so the beauty of working with a company like ours is we kind of streamline the process. We have that relationship. We not only know the key players within the bank, we know the key players that own the bank.
mm,
That's kind of vaguely answering your question. Would be a
that's
key
good.
example is not only knowing the key players within the bank, but knowing the key players that own or run the bank behind
Mm,
the scenes.
that's big, huge, huge. Also huge. Let's talk about this. Developing that customer centric approach, right?
Yeah.
This is huge, and because that's a part of your reputation, and reputation precedes us further
Most
than we ever know. Let's talk about your approach and
Yeah,
how
so
you
I
get
would
there.
use that more example in our 27 North. I have more concrete examples that I can share. Customers want to be heard, they want to be taken care of. And if you look at the industry average right now in the RV world of service repairs, I think it's ranges from like a couple of months to over 8 months. I've had clients come and like, hey, my unit's been in the service center for 6, 7, 8 months, and they still haven't fixed it. And I'm paying payments on it, I'm paying insurance on top of the service that I'm paying for it. Like I want to be out traveling. And so for us, we take pride in quick turnarounds. And so our kind of rule of thumb is a 36-hour turnaround. We want a service and have a solution for you within 36 hours,
Hmm.
and then immediate responses. So if it's during business hours, you get immediate responses. If it's after business hours, we strive to, if it's an emergency, we address it. So if it's 2 a.m., your heater quit working, you can't get it on, call us. That's an emergency. We'll walk you through it. And at the very least, we'll get you an alternative of how to keep your unit warm so you're safe. So you're not on Google, you're not going through forums, you're not on a 1-800 line waiting for a response. And if you can accomplish that in any industry, whether it's real estate, manufacturing, even fintech, there's a lot of times. Why do people jump banks? Why do people jump insurance companies? Why do people jump booking services? Because they don't feel like they're being heard. They don't feel like they're getting a solution. If you can automate that process, like we got a cool software that really streamlines it. A customer can submit a form online and immediately it goes to our technician. Our technician's helping you resolve it. If you can do that, I think
Mm.
that's key to the success within any industry.
Oh my goodness, Pavel. That's my next question. How big is automation? How big do you think automation is?
Oh, it's got to be key if you want to scale. Like if you're not scaling, it's fine. Like the software we got, I think it's like $30,000, $40,000 just for the customer service side. If you're a small business, with all due respect, like a mom and pop shop, that's fine. Like I love those places. That's my type of place for food especially. But if you're scaling, if you want to grow, automation's got to be at the forefront of your vision, of your priorities. Like forget marketing, forget everything. Like automation. How can we automate accounting? How can we automate production? How can we automate purchasing? A lot of times people don't even think about it. How do we automate human resource? Like, have you ever come across that? Well, if you have 2,500 employees and you haven't automated an HR process, whether it's onboarding, exit interviews, paperwork, if you haven't automated that, you need a staff of, 15, 20 people. But if you've automated it, you need one key person to maintain the software and you're set.
Mm. Spirit, you are singing the song. You are singing the automation song. That is right. You just said it. Instead of 15, 20 people, you have one person and a few digital employees, we like to call them.
Yes.
Right? And the digital employees do whatever you need them to do, whenever you need them to do it, every time they need to do it, whatever, never taking a break and always checking in. So now, if you still have those 15 people, now those 15 people can do more customer driven value adding activities.
Exactly.
Come on. You hit it. I just put the icing on the cake. You basically put all the ingredients in it.
I appreciate it.
Let's talk about maybe some challenges, man. What are some challenges that you face in this industry, and how have you turned those? We turn those problems into our passions, and then we progress through them. How do you move through those challenges?
Oh, I'd say interest rates, both in real estate and manufacturing. Interest rates are hard right now. And you have a lot of key players that are just sitting on cash, scared to do it. And then you have a lot of key players that want to and are scared because the rates are high. Well, if you talk to anyone that's over 60, 70 years old about, how was it in the 80s? Well, there was a time in history when real estate, rates were 18, 19%. And you get in touch with those guys, like, how did you pencil the deal then? They teach you a lot. I won't share all our secrets, but there are ways to make up that cost. For us, the first thing we do is construction costs. How can we minimize construction costs? Can we find secondary suppliers? Can we find alternative solutions? Can we find a way to maybe streamline or automate some of the process to bring the cost down? Now, the money you'll save, like I'm working a project right now, we were able to save on a $5 million project, $300,000.
Love the sound of
$5
that.
million project, $300,000 we were able to save by just carefully reviewing our building materials, our building supplies, our vendors, our contractors. Now I have $300,000 that I could throw towards interest. So now I can afford this loan. I can afford this deal. And you go through every aspect of it, all the way down to the realtor listing it for you. And all this money you can save, you can now afford to pay a higher interest rate. And then, key, when rates come down, you're now making even more profit.
Come on. It's a win, 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 win. I mean, you're winning.
Thank you.
You're winning. You're hitting the nail on the head. And I hope folks are listening. And I'm glad that you are able to be here right now, because, aha moments coming any second,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a little key bit of information that someone gets, like, oh, I mean, you mean, just taking the time to review a little bit more could save me $350,000 or more?
Gold nuggets, man. I'm telling you, they're everywhere. We just don't take the time to find them.
Woo! Brody said automation is the present and future for success. I'm glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that.
100%, I agree, yeah.
Because it is the present. Because a lot of people say it's the future. Yeah, but it's right now. It is happening in this moment. The present is the gift too. I know it's a weird, corny thing, but gift and present, it's funny. They're the same for a real good reason.
Yeah.
I believe the present is where the gift is. If you can really get present, then you'll be prepared for the future. Now, that was a lot in one word, in one sentence, but I mean, it's the truth. And I love the way you are preparing your people and the kind of atmosphere that you have with your employees. Like, I watched some of your TikToks and how you guys have these fun little work office videos where you're passing the microphone around from each person, and they say, I pass the mic to the person who always has the most stuff on their desk. Or, I pass the mic to the person who always comes in late. I was really impressed by just the atmosphere there. I also watched your video, The Life of Pavel Bosovik. Dude,
Yeah.
that was cool. I think that everyone should do that, actually. Let me tell you why. Because literally, like, a video like that was allowed me to take a little dive inside of your mindset, how you handle your life on a regular basis, from the time you wake up, the time you spend time with God, to the time that you have your meetings, very strategically placed throughout the day, the time where you eat, and you make sure you eat because you don't eat in the morning. So I'm following. I'm like, it's very, very similar. Very, very similar. But by watching that, you now actually inspired me to get even more strategic and structured with my schedule. You see how this works? I mean, it just works all the way around.
Yeah, that's why I love doing it. At first, I was very discreet about my life and my work, and that's just because everyone else in the industry and then was so discreet. And then I'm like, wait, even if we all teamed up together, we couldn't produce enough product to supply the demand. So why don't we share with each other? Why don't we support and inspire others? And then I started having people from different industries ask me, like, hey, how's a day in your life? How did you jump? How are you getting to 100 million revenue from 10? Like, that's a big jump. And I just start sharing these gold nuggets, these seeds, and they're inspiring other people. And I think there's no other kind of reward in life than seeing your actions and your words inspire someone else. And that inspiration not only just be a short-term gratification, but bring long-term results. When you can follow up a year, 2, 3 down the road. I remember it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. I had a young man ask me for some advice, And then 3 years had gone by, and he came. He's like, "Hey, Paul, do you remember you told me this, this, and this?" And I'm like, "I vaguely remember. I have people, sometimes 50 people a day reach out to me, and I try to, streamline, automate the response. We can talk about that too sometime." And he's like, "Well, I listened, and it worked, and now I have this huge business." And I'm like, "Wow, I need to do more of that."
Yes,
That feeling there, I mean, it was priceless. It was just
man.
such an amazing feeling.
That so that feeling is that. Let's talk about your podcast, Suits and
Yeah,
Shoes. I feel like
yeah.
that feeling kind of inspired a little bit of this podcast. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Yeah, so Suits and Shoes was I was the one that had those questions
Oh
growing
yeah,
up.
and
I wanted to know,
also,
"Hey."
I'm sorry, and also let's talk about your first guest. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'm like, "Hey, what does it take to walk in your shoes? What does it take to walk in your outfit? What are you wearing?" Like, for me, I had all these questions, I couldn't find the answers. And then the few people I did ask, like, "Hey, literally, what kind of shoes and suits are you wearing? What kind of outfits should I be wearing? What does it take to walk in your shoes? How did you get there?" And I was getting such limited feedback, and a lot of times no response. So then I'm like, I've gone through it now. I'm now 1% of 1%. I've made a really cool statistic. Why don't I share what wasn't shared with me? And then why don't I find people in my social circle that are willing to share that too? And so I had a really awesome individual in my life who's mentored me, and it's Doug Pitt, Brad Pitt's brother. And I'm like, "Hey, would you be willing to go for an hour and just talk to me about how you did it, how you got there, your inspiration, and then quite literally tell me, what kind of shoes you like wearing, what kind of outfits you like wearing." And like the whole thing was just, I mean, you saw the comments. I think we got over 100 comments within the first week about the positive impact it's been
Mm,
having on people's lives. And this is just the beginning. And it tells me that there's more people out there that have this question and have not been able to get the answer. So through
yeah.
this podcast, Suits and Shoes, we want to answer that question for you, and we want to inspire you to take action and realize that, hey, I'm not much different than you. Doug Pitt is not much different than all of us. We're all
Mhm,
ordinary humans, but we can do extraordinary things if we
mhm,
had at least a roadmap, or a few steps told us, like, "Hey, take XYZ step," and you're
yeah.
already halfway to accomplishing something extraordinary.
Oh man, that's good. Man, what a story. And what a story, actually. So Doug Pitt, Brad Pitt's brother, was your mentor. You took a $10 million company to 100 million. Hello?
In the process of, yes.
In the process of. And wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you realize the importance of inspiration. And so through the Suits and Shoes, you're able to spread these golden nuggets, as we call
Yeah.
them, man.
Yes,
That's
sir.
that's phenomenal. That's
Yeah.
that's that's pretty freaking phenomenal, man.
I appreciate it. I always say there's 8 billion plus population in the world. There's countries that are not developed. There's more demand than we could fulfill. And so I'm a big believer in empowering young entrepreneurs, older entrepreneurs, businesses, mid-sized businesses to expand their horizons, to think outside the box, to reach those goals. Because whenever we have goals within ourselves that we have not yet reached, what kind of feeling do we have?
Unfulfilled.
Unfulfilled goals, dreams, ambitions. We
Mhm.
feel unfulfilled. We feel sad. We don't feel good. And
Mm-mm.
then if that time, a year, 2, 3, after 5, we start feeling discouraged.
Mhm.
Discouragement leads to depression, and it's just a spiral. I call it the death spiral, and it's very
Mhm.
dangerous. But if you can get the mentorship in your life to reach those goals, or at least someone to tell you, "Hey, you can do it. This is what it's going to take." You
Mm.
now have the data and information to either reassess and set new goals, or go all in and reach those goals that you have.
Yes.
What happens when you reach that goal? Satisfied, amazing. You feel like you want to write a book, you want to get on a podcast, you want to share with the world. And that's kind of my goal, is to either help people reach their goals or help people reassess and set realistic goals.
Mm. That's it, man. I just did a TikTok about that yesterday. About listen, life's gonna be hard. Life's gonna kick you in the butt regardless. But if you have something you're passionate about and you're excited about, those kicks in the butt don't feel as bad.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right, man. Oh, that's good. Okay, all right, we're coming in for a landing. Last few questions here. So again, we're powered by Simply Automate. So we have our simply second question of the day. If you could simply automate one thing in your business life, and then this is like waving a magic wand,
Yeah.
okay, or twiddling your nose, or clicking your heels, or whatever the heck happens, you get one wish right now. What would you simply automate in your business life?
Supply chain.
That was quick. That was quick.
Supply chain
Elaborate.
with the pandemic and now the relapse, and it just seems like getting the correct inventory, the correct quality, the correct timing, it just seems like such a hassle. And it's like, why should it be this complex to get the inventory I need into my production line? And so my one thing to all the vendors, suppliers out there is find a way to streamline. And from the CEO of a manufacturer, there are companies that have started doing this, but your guys' prices are astronomical. Like, close the door. Like, I don't want to talk to you. The suppliers out there, it's going to cost you a little bit up front, but find a way to stock my shelves. Find a way to stock my shelves, streamline the entire process to the point to where it like auto withdraws from my account. Because look at supplement bills, look at house mortgage, interest, it's all auto withdrawn, right? But right now, the purchasing supply chain is so complicated that it makes it complex to do business. And like I said, there are players out there that do it, but y'all prices are unrealistic. I'm not paying twice as much to have your inventory on my shelves. I'm stocking. I should get a discount. You don't need warehouse space if I'm stocking your product. And so just to find a key way to have that relationship and automate the supply chain process, I think would be phenomenal.
Well said. It's well spoken. It has been spoken. Okay. All right. All
I hope
right.
some of my suppliers are listening.
Yeah. All right. Let's give us your best piece of business advice or your favorite quote of you.
Yeah.
That's something you've said.
So favorite quote, favorite business advice is one of our four founders. I think it was the third or the seventh president said, if you believe in something, you're already halfway there. Favorite quote of mine, my personal quote would probably be, man, I have so many. I have like a whole keypad of them. I'm trying to think what aligns with automation more. I think if I had to put one for automation, I think one of my favorite quotes would be, not everybody or nobody starts at the finish line. Someone inspired me with that quote, so please do forgive me if I'm stealing it from someone. I'm sure someone else has said it, but essentially, whether it's automation, business, nobody starts at the finish line. It's a marathon, a very long one, and so start small and scale big.
Man, nobody starts at the finish line. That's a good way to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Pavel Bosovik, man, what's the best way for folks to get in contact with you? And by the way, just to elaborate on that, no one starts at the finish line. That means that it's always going to take some type of effort to get to where you want to get to. So
Yes,
don't just
sir.
think you're going to wake up and be there.
Exactly.
Okay. How can folks get in contact with you, and what's the best way to reach you?
Yes, if you just Google search my name, my website comes up, my social media platforms come up. I have a pretty dedicated team that gives same-day responses. And so through any one of those outlets, you can reach me, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We respond to all inquiries and messages. So yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions.
That's going to be a great idea. For anyone who wants to reach out to Pavel, his information will be on all the social sites, wherever you're looking at this. Just look
Just
at
Google my name, find a platform that you use and are comfortable with, and reach out to me.
And also check out his podcast. What's the name of that again? And where can they find that?
Suits and Shoes. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it, Apple. Anywhere. It's across the board. So same thing. Google Suits and Shoes and my name, and find a platform that you listen to your podcasts on. Download it, and the next road trip you take, play it, and you'll be really inspired.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for watching or listening. This is Automation Nation. If you have too much on your plate, simply automate. Till next time. Automation Nation, Automation. Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation, around the nation. Automation, Automation Nation, Automation, Automation Nation.